For project-wide static files, we can use a similar approach as we did with project-wide templates. We can add a new folder called static next to our root templates folder. So this is side by side to the challenges app folder and the monthly challenges project configuration folder. There I have this new root static folder. And in there we could now set up a general base CSS file or styles CSS file, whatever you want. And here we could set up project-wide CSS styles, or at least that would be a file that can be used easily from anywhere in the entire project. So from inside any template in the entire project, no matter in which app that template resides or if it's a global template. Here, for example, I want to pick a specific font. And for that, I'm on fonts.google.com, where you can get some free fonts. And you can choose any font you like, any look you like. I think I will go with Roboto Condensed here, click on it, and select this regular 400 style, and also select the bold 700 style. Then we can use this import code, which is shown to us here, and copy that, go back to our page, and paste that here at the top of our styled CSS file. This will make sure that these Google fonts are being imported. Then we can add a HTML selector maybe, and set the font family to what we also see here, Roboto Condensed Sans Serif. We can actually copy that snippet here and use that in here. We can also select the body tag maybe and remove the default margin, which this has in many browsers. With that, we can now use that global static file. We could use it in our challenges app in one of the templates there, but I want to use it in my root base HTML template. There, I want to add a link in front of that block where I then have the template-specific CSS files which are being injected. You can merge that. You can have specific CSS files from the inheriting templates which are being injected, and then have some general CSS files which are always loaded, and that's what I'm doing here. And I'll set the link rel style sheet here, and set ref to my style CSS file. For this, again, we need to load static here. We need to load this static plugin, so to say, so that down there we can use the now available static tag. And then here it's styles CSS, which I want to refer to. And now Django will look for such a styles CSS file to include it. The problem we'll face with that, though, is that if I save that and I reload my page, the text hasn't really changed. And instead we again got a 404 error when Django tried to find that file. Now with this global static folder, we'll have a problem, because Django does look for static folders and the files in there by default for your apps. So for your project, it will look into the app folders and automatically look for a static folder in there and then grab the files from in there. The problem is it does not look for such a static folder on a global level in your main project, on the root level of your project. It does not look for a static folder there. So to make Django aware of this folder, we need to do something similar to what we did with the templates. We need to add a special setting to our settings.py file to tell Django to pick up that static folder and look into that folder as well. And there are settings which you can add to settings.py which are not set up by default. Of course, you can check out the official settings config to find out about all possible settings. You rarely need to do that you add a new setting, but here we do need to add a new one. And that's the static files dirs setting. It's a bit like the dirs setting from our templates. There we also were able to specify specific template folders in our project that should be considered by Django. And we're now doing the same with static files. With static files dirs, and make sure you have no typo in there, you can specify folders that should be considered when Django collects and loads static files, and when it then moves them behind the scenes to some global static folder on the server it creates. Here we again can use base_static to now tell Django that this static folder here in our root project directory should be considered as well as the app-specific folders. Those are considered automatically. With that, if we save that and reload, now this looks better, now that text changed. It's still not super pretty because there's more we should style, but it is a start. Now, in the next lecture, I will work only on CSS. I will make sure that this overall looks nicer, also on the individual challenge pages. If you're not interested in that, if you don't care about CSS, you can also skip the next lecture and just use the finished CSS code for both the styled CSS as well as the app-specific CSS files, which you find attached to the next lecture. Otherwise, I'll see you there and we're going to write some CSS code together.